This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino on this Wednesday morning. A little chilly in the Capital District. Heck, it's still autumn. Didn't they get the word yet?
Yeah, it's been a little too chilly for me for about the last 2 weeks. Once it really
Speaking
changed.
from a guy who went to RPI in Syracuse who was looking for warmer climates.
Yeah, well, Parks has had a couple of problems over the past couple of days due to the weather. The other venues, I was watching Monticello yesterday, and the track was snow covered. They
Yes.
still continue to race. Finger Lakes, no problem getting off their season finale yesterday. So most of the racing around the country was okay, even though the weather over the past couple of days with a cold front and some nasty weather moving across the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, but it did affect Parks.
Right. I mean, Turfway has already canceled the Saturday night, and they're one of the doesn't get much attention December, January, February, but they're one of the racetracks that is very, very much affected by the weather, and they really felt as if Polytrack helped them out a lot, but yet still, that's the nature of winter racing in the Northeast, and I don't know if anybody's ever done a study on it, but I just think cancellations nowadays come more readily. I just think...
Yeah, Jeff Carl and I were talking about this the other day. When there was some kind of cancellation, jockeys were involved, and I was asking Jeff.
Oh, the windy day.
I said exactly the same thing.
The Sunday windy day.
It seems like it happens more often now, and Jeff said yes. And I kind of speculated, I wonder if tracks are a little more the track management. I think they'd still rather race. I think it's jockeys against track management.
I don't think it's as big a hit anymore.
Because of simulcasting. You got the
simulcast.
Well,
not only simulcasting, you get fractional there. You're not missing 8,000 people at the track, which was nice. I mean, you think about, and I know I get teased now at 50 years of age, Seth, but 20 years ago, people still attended the racetrack in 5 figures. So the house, charged for parking, charged for attendance, and etc. So you were really, and I've talked about it before, the house gets to keep that money. The wagering dollar and everything, that's split up, but admissions and concessions and parking, I don't think it's a big bottom line, except at places such as Del Mar, Saratoga, Arlington, maybe a little Monmouth. I look at, I thought I took a quick look. Well, I should say this. I know I took a quick look at attendance on opening day at Tampa, and I think I remember it was less than 5,000. It might have been 3,000 in 3,000, which, is 1/3 of 10,000. So I think the house looks at it going, we're not really giving away that much. And as Seth, as you said, the simulcast amount, that's sort of set. If 1,200 people are coming to the track, especially in metropolitan New York, the 1,200 might be 900 on a winter day, and your bottom line for simulcast wagering is the same. You're losing maybe 200 people. But in the old days, not having 10,000 people show at the racetrack, because Seth, remember the other thing? You count how many days, A, they canceled completely, or B, how many times they canceled after the early daily double. My recollection is they canceled more often after the daily double was in than canceled before the first. I mean, they would get you to the track, run the daily double, and then get out of town. I could tell you, we've had winter racing in New York since I was 11 years old. And it would take a Herculean snowstorm usually to cancel racing. But Parks has done it 2 days in a row. I'm going to presume that my colleague Mike Jarbo probably got through his work yesterday on Parks.
And as we went to the commercial, I pulled up the Parks Twitter feed, and it said, Monday's cancellation was the last entry on the Twitter feed. And so we said, well, going to the break, it looks like we're going. During the break, I refreshed the screen, and 55 seconds prior to that was the cancellation for Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
we got it, I don't know, one of the breaks after I had put Parks to bed. But today, I have Tampa, so we think we're in a good zone. And Seth has opening day on the inner dirt track, and turf racing is over. This will not be one of those years, Seth, where we have turf racing and the inner dirt track going concurrently.
Yeah, once you get into December, everything's kind of a bonus, and so we got a weekend, and Laurel did pretty well with their turf racing as well. And just before we get to the handicapping, I wanted to bring up, I brought this up on Racing Across America yesterday, something you and I talked about couple days ago, with tied in with the watchmaker and the discussion on the Remsen and how they should bring the jockeys in and question them.
What were you doing?
On the pace. And that should be transparent and
absolutely
put out there for the public. And I've always said, a daily stewards report would be great. Subsequently, I was on the internet putting together the Equidaily page and came across a Caulfield Stewards report from Australia just to show the difference. The Daily Stewards report, some tracks in the United States now do have a Daily Stewards report. It's not as comprehensive as I would like to see. We talked about Hong Kong, certainly theirs is, but just to give folks, and I talked about some of these yesterday in Racing Across America, the Caulfield Stewards report. Race number 1, the start of this race was delayed 8 minutes due to the non-arrival of Kay Nesbitt, declared the rider of Lord of the Sky. Stewards interviewed Kay Nesbitt, who explained that she had left Flemington in ample time to arrive on course to fulfill her engagement, but had been severely delayed by heavy traffic. They came up with a subsequent rider. Then they go through some of the horses in the race. Tankster sprawled badly on jumping away and became unbalanced. A post-veterinary examination revealed the gelding to be lame in the hind leg. Later, race missed promiscuity, slow to begin. Rider L. Nolan stated, in his view, the filly is better suited to racing on the pace. You look down to some of the later races. Smarty Mac, trainer advised, would be ridden back in the field and was ridden accordingly. Trainer advised after the race the gelding would now be spelled. Medvedev, L. Nolan reported the gelding may improve over more distance and with more give to the track. And again, I'm just picking out little pieces. This is a very comprehensive. They're going over most of the horses in each race, talking to connections. If there was something that went against what the past performances indicated this horse may do, they were questioned. Love to see that every racetrack in the United States.
Absolutely.
And again, I think it shows the stewards are paying attention.
Clearly.
And they're out there fighting for the customer and keeping up the integrity.
I've always said that is that's their duty. They are protectors of the game and a de facto protector of the bettors. And I've always said this: who is going to push back against this? And then I'm simply going to ask them why. I've said this before. Who is against me, we the bettors, hearing the live, real-time conversation between the jockeys and the stewards? Who's against this? And which stewards are against me finding out which adjudications are 3-0, 2-1, so that I can start to get a feel, as they do with Supreme Court justices, how they may in the future vote, who thinks there are no fouls, who thinks ticky-tacks are fouls, etc. Because I sit here saying, I don't get it. Who would be against it? I'm like, this is not top secret stuff. It's like I want to hear your line of questioning. I want to hear the jockey's line of defense. Why should this be top secret stuff? Because I'm amazed at this, Seth. They don't. I mean, I don't. It's one of those things where I don't think they get who the boss in the equation is. We are. We are the bosses. Why? Because we are the customers. But many foreign jurisdictions do it better than we do it in the United States, which doesn't surprise me. But that's how it goes. We can only hope that it would get better.
We've taken incremental steps. There weren't the Daily Stewards Report on the websites for a long time. They've been added by many tracks, but as I say, they're not as comprehensive as I would like to see.
Yeah.
So the model is out there.
How much work could it be? In all honesty, that's what I don't get. They actually they're pushing an 80-pound rock up the hill.
It would be maybe there's somebody already in the organization, but at worst you have to hire a secretary just to kind of type stuff out every day to post it on the website. Speaking of that, another thing we talked about the other day that was funny, the Hollywood. I'm still checking the Hollywood Park website. The last I looked, still hadn't put up those photos for Sunday. But it's even more interesting. I don't know if you read the Daily Racing Form article, but it was a triple dead heat because the photo was inconclusive.
Because it couldn't. Right, and I have seen that before in other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
I mean.
And if you look at the photo, you understand it completely.
Right. Two things. If you look at the photo, you understand they can't make the call. Also, if you look at the photo, It doesn't look like the one jockey would be dead heated.
But they couldn't.
You can't guess by that. I'm not going into length of jockeys' backs, where they were on the horse, but the horse, because it's a triple dead heat, is completely mired where their nose is. So in that case, the stewards did exactly the right thing.
And the problem is the winning jockey. The dead heat was for place, and the winning jockey, his body is blocking in the mirror image. You don't see in the photo they had in the racing form. You don't see the mirror image, but they say the mirror image was no better.
Yeah.
So it was inconclusive. But again, I bring that up because, as we said the other day, why isn't that on the website immediately? And I'm wondering now if it's just they put their photos up maybe the next racing day. Maybe that was the delay,
but
that's
or tomorrow.
But still, it's a situation like that, you think they would have had it up. All right, let's shift our attention to the handicapping portion of the program. A little later on, I'm going to look at Aqueduct, but first off, we're going to have the NV Racing down at Tampa Bay, as the weather down there is certainly much nicer than it is up in this neck of the woods. The opener today at Tampa, maiden claiming event, 7,000 to 8,000 tags. These are 3-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs.
And Seth, I just want to give the people a little quick overview of the first 3 days going on at Tampa. If you recall, they opened last Wednesday, and Seth and I were talking about before we came on the air. Their schedule, at least right now, for the December portion, I'm sure, is a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday racing. A couple quick notes. First off, in case Tampa's new, Fernando de la Cruz, 3 days of racing, 8 winners already. Obviously, somebody to pay attention to. Seth, were you the one telling me that maybe Jamie Ness you saw him quoted someplace, dialing it back? Yeah, he's only got 3 already. He's dialed it back. He's won just about every.
That's what I said when I had the rep on from Tampa. I said, I wonder if he's playing a little close to their vest.
I think he was. A couple other things. Odds-on favorite horses are 1 for 5, something I always like to look at the meet. We've had 3 firsters win already, but that cat's already out of the bag because on opening day of this meet, the last race, we had the $125 winner for the first out starter. So we're underway. One quick note for all, if you want to feel old, I know they reuse the names of horses, but to see Reinvested 30 years later, who was a quality 3-year-old for Stanley Huff Harborview Farm in the early 1980s. That name is back in circulation. And finally, for those of us handicapping and going forward, speed doesn't seem to be that beneficial right now. As I looked it over, I had 7 winners who have made the front, and throwing out the turf winners, which were 2 of them, the 5 dirt winners who have made every pole a winning one. First off, they don't clear the field. They're really, a couple of them have cleared the field, but they have been the morning line favorites, the betting favorites. So when you look at stats, we try and give you a little better ones. I'm not so sure being on the front end is beneficial unless really you're the superior animal. So right now I'm going with the idea that I want to lay 2 or 3 lengths off the front in South Florida racing. So let's kick it off. 4, 5, 6, ladies and gentlemen, as we get underway. And, we've said it before. We give out, our selections the day before and early in the morning. So I went with the idea of certainly on the dirt that I'd be looking for horses who would be sitting off about 2 or 3 lengths on the pace call. So Seeking Devil's Gold gets my top pick, who takes a sizable drop down in the maiden claiming tag from 15 down to 7. Now, does leave Illinois, the Illinois bred level, to come down to Tampa. So that may be just a function of the bottom rung. Bottom rung in Chicago for Illinois state breds, I'm not positive, might be 15,000. So now we're at 7, might be just a jurisdictional thing. But with the addition of blinkers, we got a wake-up call and ran and hit the board, finishing 3rd for the first hit-the-board finish since the debut. I like the dirt effort, sprinting. We come in for a lower dollar amount. We seem to be going the right directions. And if it was blinkers that helped us, we're keeping them on with my top pick, number 4, Seeking Devil's Gold. For second, right next door in the starting gate, number 5, Danielle's Honor. We certainly hope so. Kathleen O'Connell sends out this runner. 5th career start, showed nothing in the first 2, maiden claimer, big dollars in Jersey, but then dropped down almost 1/3 the price and has run well twice, and now ships down for the first race since running at Monmouth Park for the 4th time on October 6th. And for third, number 5, Hogue, making the second start since being a $16,000 claim at Indiana. And Seth, I talked about it last Wednesday. One of my favorite things about Tampa, and I am a guy who likes more variables in a race than fewer, is the idea that because of the nature of Tampa Bay not being on a circuit, horses coming from everywhere. I'll just give you a quick view of this, folks. We have 2 horses off the layoff, the 3 and the 8. They last ran at Tampa in the spring. We have Gulfstream Park, Churchill Downs, Hawthorne, Monmouth, Indiana, and Laurel. So if my math is right here, Seth, I have 8 runners in here from 7 different racetracks most recently. And I bring that up as a stat because I think that's the opposite of disingenuous. I think it is the feel of Tampa early. They come from all points to run at Tampa. So just a quick wrap up, 4, 5, 6 in the opener.
Also looking at this field, I wish they had an exacta for last and next to last.
Uh-oh.
I'd box up the 1, 3, and the 7. I mean, oof, those are 3 bad horses.
And I'll tell you one thing. Seth makes a good humorous point here. With the runners he's picked out, certainly 2 of them. I might not be on board with the 7, but you're boxing it up.
Recently, though.
He's looking for a price with a 20-to-1 shot. Yeah. But this tells me, Seth, right off the bat, that this is a jurisdiction where the morning line odds person doesn't like to put 50-to-1.
Yeah,
That's what the 1 and 3 tell me. The 1 and 3, both being 30-to-1, tell me that the house is not comfortable putting 50-to-1 down on a morning line, which seems to be industry-wide. It seems to be it's 30 to 50. Those who make it put 50-to-1. So that tells me with those 2 runners,
and now
the 1
I'm
and 3, they won't do it.
interested to see what they actually go off at. The second race at Tampa today, conditional claiming event, 16,000 tags, non-winners of 3 lifetime. These are 3-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs.
4-1-6, my selection's in here, and San Antonio D'Oro gets my top pick. And, I've been a little suspect of late on the turf, but boy, I looked at this horse, and this doesn't make sense to me at 8-to-1 on the morning line. Why? Because I just mentioned horse for the turf horse. But you look at the 2 most recent dirt efforts. Both were at Tampa. Now, they were distance of ground, but they were a victory and a third. I mean, I think we all can read the daily racing form, those of us that are allowed to bet. So, those turf races at Monmouth, that's okay that we ran not well, but we're coming back to dirt, back to Tampa. We've run well there twice before. So I think San Antonio D'Oro, by one of my favorite stallions, Medaglia D'Oro, is my top pick at 8-to-1 on the morning line. For second, going the rail, number 1, Serdinsky. Going out for John Sims, the most recent efforts. This horse showed good speed at Fort Erie, which is conventional dirt. And I'm not going to pay much attention to the effort at nearly 90-to-1 most recently on Woodbine's Polytrack. And for third, number 6, you're my buddy, 4-1-6 in the second.
Third race at Tampa this afternoon is a maiden special weight event. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. They will go 3/4 of a mile.
Intriguing race in here for yours truly, 5, 7, and 2. QuestBet gets my top pick, and I'm suspecting that, that we're going to sit right off the pace by choice in here, because I think if we were sent to the front, we could get it, but I'm hoping that Luis Garcia sees the outside post position and maybe just throttles it back. I mean, I've said this before, and I tried to allude to it at the beginning. QuestBet, to me, is the type of horse that may be just so much better than the rest of the field that they can run against what I think is the grain of the track right now. I mean, I have seen horses, as I said, favorites, who have made every poll a winning one. They were just simply better. And that might be exactly the fate of numbers 5, QuestBet. But if I was given my druthers, I mean, if they want to walk on the front end, then I'm going. And I'll get home, I believe. For second, number 7, Susan's Quest. Going on after this horse debuted in May at Calder to a nice runner-up position. Regressed in 2 subsequent efforts. Makes the second start, since July 21st. Makes the Tampa debut today after all 3 career starts were at Calder. And here would be, you like to call in the trainer. Geez, you debut rather nicely on May 24th. Then you followed up with 2 negative zeros. For third, number 2, Lady Isis. I love the pedigree in here. Love the debut going 7/8 in October of 2012. Love horses that debut going 7/8. Was brilliant at 20-to-1, but something went wrong. We didn't return to the races for nearly a year, and the comeback race to me was just practice. My thinking is if this horse is in good shape. Look out today because that first start back, that I'm ambivalent to that race. The debut race showed me some talent. The comeback race might have been just an ease back into the game. Let's watch how the deuce runs in here. 5-7-2.
And you're tossing out the 8-5 favorite, who has the most experience, is the way to say it in the field. Carl Nasker and Jim Taffel, Defoe Street, 8-5 on the morning line, but 13 shots so far.
But it's all, here's another thing we talk about. It's making, the other day with the bridge jumper, something's just, it's 8-5 making the dirt debut. I mean, there's just, to me, they go hand in hand. The price with the risk you're taking, it's like you're a polytrack runner. I mean, I'm not saying
He's been over Churchill, though.
What?
He's been at Churchill, Defoe, the number 4 horse.
Oh, I apologize. I thought you said the 8, number 4, Defoe Street. Yeah, the thing about this runner is, what are they thinking that the Churchill Downs form at low level is going to be enough to walk over them at 8-5? Be very interesting if they're much the best.
Yeah, again, taking a shot against a horse like that is nothing I would talk anybody out of because
absolutely
you're getting 8-5 on a horse that's had plenty of shots.
I don't mind horses.
And his last race was actually was his worst race, except for the career debut on the Keeneland Strip. So it's a horse that could be going in the wrong direction anyway. 4th at Tampa today, conditional claimer, $25,000, non-winners of 2 lifetime. These are 3-year-olds and up, scheduled on the grass at 1 mile and a 16th.
Boy, these races, these are awesome. 8-4-6, ladies and gentlemen. My Nobleman gets the top pick. One thing I want to say about the mile and 16th races at Tampa, certainly in comparison to the mile and 16th races that we've just seen completed out of the turf shoot at the Big A, inside post doesn't look as brutal at Tampa, and probably because you get it seems to me to be a longer run into the dog leg. That being said, 8-4-6, ladies and gentlemen, My Nobleman making the turf debut this afternoon, and you have Langfear on one side, but I want to talk about the bottom side of his pedigree. Lord Avey. And you want to talk about runners when turf racing was dormant in the United States, and he was a juvenile champion back in the early 1980s, but he was an outstanding turf line pedigree, and his pedigree indicates turf. So I have turf on turf being Langfear, who's a son of Danzig, and the mare is a daughter of Lord Avey. Love My Nobleman making the turf debut at middle distance turf. For second, number 4, Between Dreams. 1 start since July 19th. That was a runner-up position in Chicago on the turf. For third, number 6, Truthful Saint. 8 previous starts on the turf. Has hit the board in 5 of them. Hasn't started since running at Colonial on a soft turf well up the track July 3rd. I'm going to think that it was the turf. And if you've seen the turf course at Tampa Bay, I don't think it's going to be soft today. 8-4-6.
Tampa's 5th this afternoon is a conditional claimer, 8,000 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime. The condition, 3-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs.
9-7-5, and I have no idea what Be Brief means, but number 9 is Be Brief. My top pick coming in from Parks, ladies and gentlemen, making the Tampa Bay second career start after having won the debut at 6-5 at Tampa, going 5. Now is asked to go 6 this afternoon. For second, number 7, Creative Art, who is 8-5 on the morning line, coming off of a runner-up position in Chicago. Another runner for Dale Bennett on the card today, and Dale is already off to a very good start of this meet. For third, number 5, Canadian Boss with Fernando De La Cruz, who we might be thinking at 5-1 is a live wire in here, but 9, 7, and 5.
All right, we'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll continue looking at Tampa Bay. A little later on, Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Wednesday morning. Seth Merrill and Anthony Mormino. We will continue now our look at Tampa for this afternoon with the race number 6, optional claiming event, $32,000 tags, non-winners of 2 other than the condition. Fillies and Mares 3-year-olds and up, 7 furlongs to trip.
3-5-1, my selections in here, and number 3 is Sunny Force, attempting to make it 2 for 2 for this runner, making the first start at 2 for 2 at Tampa Bay, making the first start since September 3rd. Sharp efforts before throwing in a dud in the final race in East Boston. Suffolk Downs being another most recent racetrack represented on today's card. For second, number 5, Rebel Lady. I just thought that 2 races back, this horse at Penn National showed a good effort coming off of the poly at Penn National, then tried entry-level allowance, steps up in here, jumping out of condition with Luis Garcia, who's off to a nice meet. Matter of fact, he won with Dale Bennett, one of the horses. I think that was the reinvested runner. For third, number 1, Silverest. Draws the rail in here, but has a very attractive running style at 8-1. Maybe better as this running is in under the $32,000 tag. 3-5-1 in the 6th from Tampa.
And you talk about venues where horses had last started. It would be hard to imagine Oak Lawn would be one of those, but sure enough, yeah. Liberty Girl in here coming out of the couple of stakes races over at Oak Lawn most recently for Owen Hardy. 7th at Tampa today, a plain vanilla claimer, $16,000 tags. These are Fillies and Mares 3-year-olds and up on the grass, 1.16 miles.
5-10-7, my selections, and number 5 is Slander, 5-1 in here with Fernando de la Cruz in the saddle. A nice off-the-pace type of running style for this offspring of Johar, who was a dead heat winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic, a son of Gone West. For second, number 10 going towards the outside as number 11 isn't also eligible. Number 10, Hoodoo Meadow. Hasn't started since Delaware, throwing another race on 3 for 8 lifetime on the turf, including winning a non-winners of 3 lifetime at Delaware on August 26th, the most recent effort. And for third, number 7, Don't Be Telling Me. Dale Bennett sends out this runner. As we mentioned, Dale's already got 2 in his hip pocket. 5-10-7.
Tampa's 8th this afternoon will be a claiming event at the 10 to 12,500 level. Fillies and Mares 3-year-olds and up, 6.5 furlongs.
6-4-7, my selections in here, and for Forever Noble gets my top pick in here, making the first start since being claimed for $62.50 over at Gulfstream Park. A good effort, just got beat a neck as the 9-5 choice, going 6 at Gulfstream. I'm thinking that this horse is going to sit off the pace, is my connection with this horse, and I think he's going to sit a very, very good trip by what I see so far at Tampa. For second, number 4, Sugar Dades goes out for the first start since Laurel. Now, this horse was laid off 13 months. Now, this is the 4th start since then, and it has been a gradual improvement for Jamie Ness. This will be intriguing to me, that Jamie Ness obviously off to a great start. Fernando de la Cruz off to an outstanding start right there. 8-5 off of the layoff. Buyer speed figures, if you believe in that, boy, does not figure. So you really bet on the human angle, which is very understandable. And for third, making the first start since February 24th at Tampa, number 7, Mountain Fire. Like this horse off the layoff, Why? This horse won the career debut, 6-4-7.
And the morning line odds maker is obviously anticipating folks looking at Ness, Midwest, De La Cruz.
Yeah,
And
because other than, when we've lived with these super trainers for about 10 or 12 years, and you just really kind of have to go, they can do it. It doesn't seem to be it, but
particularly when they're at a venue where they do very, very
Yeah.
well. 9th at Tampa today, a maiden claiming event, 20 to 25,000 3-year-olds and up on the grass at 1 mile.
And full field size for these races is 10. The 11 isn't also eligible. And I'm on the outside here, 10, 3, 5. Moving on, making the second start since August. This will be the 4th career start on the turf. Never been off the board. Love the running style. I think fits in here. Dean Butler will have to work out a trip from the outside. You have to save ground on at least one of the turns going out for Tim Ice for second. Number 3, Give Me Liberty. 2 very nice recent efforts on the turf after debuting at Belmont Park for this offspring of Proud Citizen. This is turf on turf. This is Angel Serpa gets the mount for third. Number 5 going out for the 4th career start. They add blinkers this afternoon, and it's one of those questions. I don't know why, unless they just think something, because this horse is really on the pace and seems to relax nicely and finish. Maybe they're adding blinkers for the finishing power because, boy, with the running line, I think this horse is going in the right direction with Luis Garcia aboard for the 4th time. 10-3-5 in this afternoon's finale from Tampa.
All right, we'll take our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTV.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTV.com. Log on today. Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino. We just did Tampa Bay Downs. Now turning our attention to opening day at the Inner Dirt Track. Doesn't quite have the ring to some of the other opening days on the Naira circuit.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it won't be 40,000. And one of the things that when I prep to do the Handicappers Report, and I very rarely ever do Naira, but obviously I pay attention to it. I saw today's card and I was like, boy, this is a curveball because mark my words, watch how many times they write a mile and 16th races and definitely watch how many times they run 9 furlong races. To me, this meet is about 6 furlongs and 1.70 miles. It's really what it's morphed into. I tease because they only have to run 40 more yards for the mile and 16th. But watch how infrequently they run that distance. And I did notice that tomorrow, Seth, there is a 5.5 furlong race now. It is for juveniles, but they don't run too many of those. So let's kick it off at the Big A what will be a long winter of 6 furlong and mile 70 yards. Not the case today, but the opener it is. New York State breds, 3-year-olds and up, optional claimers in for 25. Non-winners of 2 other than racing a mile 70.
5, 4, 2, and 1A. The number 5 is Tug of War. And Tug of War, I went back to last. I mean, the inner surface is a unique surface. So I was searching all day long for horses that had run well on this surface. Tug of War did. If you went back to last season and the 2012 beginning of this year, ran some nice buyer figures. If this horse can bounce back to those, I think certainly potentially he'll be up there in the mix. Gets Chucky Lopez on board. I like when he's riding my horses on the inner track. I think he gets them out in the mix right where they should be. Did so. This horse had that style on the inner last year, so I think this horse will be forwardly placed. Could be interesting again with the return to the inner track. Second spot, the number 4, Sound of Drums. Might be the one to beat off the recent form. The last 3 starts for Chris Engelhardt have all been decent. Win 3 starts back, then an okay 4th place finish. Nice second last time. Those were at Finger Lakes, Belmont, and Aqueduct. This horse has a little experience over the Aqueduct inner. It was okay, but again, on the recent form, Sound of Drums is going to be interesting in here. And then in the third spot, number 2, Social Saul. Big numbers on the inner track last season, but I'm taking kind of a wait-and-see attitude on the second start off the claim. Claimed this horse for 25, 2 starts back from Jacobson and drawing away. Got a little ambitious last time and moved into a $100,000 stakes race. Didn't show much there. Certainly will find this level more in the comfort zone. But again, off the claim, off the move from Jacobson and drawing away, I'm just a little bit iffy. So a little bit of a wait-and-see attitude, but good enough that I had to have it in the mix. For me in the opener, 5, 4, 2, and the 1A.
And there are 4 New York State bred races this afternoon on open day, and they complete the early daily double with New York State breds, 3-year-olds and up. Maiden claimers in for 35, racing 6.
1, 8, 3, and 2. The number 1 is Nail It, second off the layoff. And the layoff going back to the last race before this one went to the bench, that was the end of December last year. That was an inner track race, and that was a pretty good buyer figure. Off the layoff, the buyer figure jumped up a little bit. So again, I think this horse got some fitness in that turf race on the comeback, second start back, and did show some oomph on this inner surface last year. So Nail It on top for me. Second spot, the number 8, Awesome Heart. Showed life when dropped to this level last time. Had been racing in Maiden Special Weight Company, both stake bred and open, to start the career. The first 6 starts. Dropped in for the tag last time and ran a decent 3rd place. So again, could be in the comfort zone. Awesome Heart in the mix. And then I wasn't quite sure what to do with this horse. This is one that could win off by a city block or could finish way back there. The number 3, Bottle of Red or White, goes out for Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli. They paid in a 2-year-old in training sale last year, April of 2012. They paid $135,000 for this horse. Subsequently have started in 3 state-bred maiden special weights. Career debut back at Saratoga in August on the dirt. Showed a little speed and then faded badly. Improved nicely with turf. Well, turf isn't available anymore, particularly not if you're a New York bred and you're shopping for that money. So they're left with the dirt. This horse started the career showing not much on the dirt, but gets that maiden special weight to maiden claiming class relief. There are potent connections here with Pletcher and Rapoli. I had trouble pulling the trigger, even with the class relief off the dirt debut. But again, I think this horse could win easily or could be up the track. I'm going to take the latter view just on, well, we'll see. We'll wait and see. And I may be proven wrong today, and we'll know better for next time out. But I'm going to take a little bit of a shot against Bottle of Red or White. In the second race, 1, 8, 3, and 2.
On to the third race, open company, 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares, optional claimers in for 62. Non-orders of 2 other than racing a mile and a 16.
5, 1, 2, and 4. The number 5 is Mr. Hall's Opus. Mr. Hall's Opus moves out of stakes company. Last, 3 starts has been in some stakes. The Safely Kept over at Laurel, race at Delaware prior to that, the Charlestown Oaks prior to that, and was competitive. Has a little bit of a closing kick, as shown last time. Competitive. So I'm looking at maybe a slight class edge for Mr. Hall's Opus. All of that said, This 3-year-old now moves in against Older Company. Did try Older Company once in the career back in July at Delaware. Ran an okay fourth that day. I think this horse probably has gained a little more experience. It might be a little bit better now than then. Again, there may just be some slight, a slight class edge for this horse in here. We'll find out. Mr. Hall's Opus on top. Second spot, the number 1, Nuff Said, on a 3-race win streak. But as opposed to my top pick, this one moves up class-wise. So I'm class edge maybe for Mr. Hall's Opus and a class move up for Nuff Said. So we'll find out a little bit more about this one today. But I think in the form that Nuff Said is in, probably a decent fit with this bunch. And then the number 2, My Place. This horse may better this rating. This is a horse, only a couple of career starts so far, and we're already at the end of the 3-year-old season for My Place. So lightly raced, couple of wins, one of those via DQ, but it is Bill Mott. Mike Dubb is involved with this horse, some nice connections. So again, this horse kind of could be any kind. Lightly raced, I don't know whether we found the ceiling. I may regret, as I say, putting this one down in the mix. Could be interesting in here. But in the third, 5, 1, 2, and 4.
On to the 4th race, back to New York State Bred. So 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares, maiden claimers in for 25, racing a mile 70.
6, 4, 1, and 5. The number 6 is Sky Lassie, who longtime maiden, and you know, this is the kind of race where I'll try to find a fresh face in here, and maybe 3 Cracker Chili is the way to go. But these are some horses that, for the most part, have shown some turf form, and it's hard to get too excited about these horses with that unknown. Sky Lassie, on the other hand, has some dirt for him that, you know, and some decent dirt numbers. So 10 career starts so far, no wins, obviously, in a maiden race, no seconds, 3 thirds, but has some dirt form and numbers that I think are going to fit. Gets maybe a little bit of class relief in here, moving out of State Bred Maiden Special Company. So it just kind of adds up. I can't get super excited, again, about a 10-time loser, but most of these have some experience. I'll take a little shot with Sky Lassie again with the dirt experience. Amber Morning, tepid second selection. Why? Because, as I say, like a lot of these in here that would attract your attention on the numbers were all fired on turf. So this is the one to beat if she likes the dirt. We just don't know. Adds the blinkers today. We'll find out more about a bunch of these after the race today. It's a little bit of a crapshoot coming in. And in the third spot, the number 1, East Coast Express, another one that's moving to the dirt. All 8 of the starts so far have been on the turf. The numbers certainly fit with this bunch, but will the numbers translate? So again, this is a little bit of a crystal ball race. There are some of these that, you know, one or the other of these turf runners may just step onto the track and say, hey, this is where I've been meant all along, and run away with this. Hard to predict that, however. I wound up going 6, 4, 1, and 5.
On to the 5th race, we have Open Company, 3-year-olds and up, claimers in for 12,500. Non-winners of 2 races a lifetime, also racing a mile 70 yards.
Similar situation to what I just looked at. This is another race where a lot of these, their best form is on the grass, so it's hard to kind of know which direction to go. I went 5, 2, 3, and 6. The number 5 is Griffin Rock. This horse showed some life in an off-the-turf race last time, so that gives me a little bit of confidence. Bruce Levine sends this one out. Last time in a 16B was a nice third. Again, that was an off-the-turf event at the end of November, so I think this horse with an extra little half a step down the claiming ladder might prove difficult in here with, again, at least a little bit of proven dirt form. Second spot, the number 1, Hard Rocker. This is a horse that probably, looking at the record, I think you can say is better on turf. The last time this horse was on the dirt was 2 starts back in an off-the-turf race. It was an okay third. I'm going back to an off-the-turf race about this time last year, November of 2012, off the turf. A nice buyer figure that day to run third. So again, there's a little bit of dirt experience to hang our hat on with Hard Rocker. And then the number 4, Cash Your Ticket. Again, you go back earlier in the past performances and you see an off-the-turf race where this horse ran a decent buyer figure and, in fact, won to break the maiden in May of this year. So there's a little bit of dirt experience you can kind of feel some confidence in. The last time this horse was on the dirt, not so good. So you can go either way. It is Midwest Thoroughbreds, however, and I always have to pay attention to them in the claiming game. So toss that one in the mix. But again, this is another race, and it's that time of year. The grass racing is over, so a lot of these grass horses, if they're not shipping out of town, they're going to at least test them and see what they can do on the dirt and whether they'll continue through the winter. So it's a little bit of a crystal ball situation. But I went 5, 2, 3, and 6.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from the Big A.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of ranch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTV television network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Seth Merrill, I am Anthony Mormino, taking a closer look at opening day at the Big A on the inner turf course. We're up to race number 6. It'll be 2-year-olds, open company, maiden claimers, in for 20, racing 6.
6, 3, 4, and 2. The number 6 is Flying Joe. And another class drop for this one. Started the career in Made Special Weight Company, then went for 50 last time. Threw in a dud last time at 50. I'm going back 3-4 races ago. This horse showed some speed, showed a little bit of oomph. I think on the inner track, that early speed could be very dangerous. So there's some extra class relief and some early speed in here. And those combined, they're enough for me to put Flying Joe on top. Second spot, I will go to Ultra Oro, the 3-horse. This is a first-time starter. Kelly Breen, the trainer, pretty good first out of the box. Reddy's Image, the sire, pretty good. So I think there's some nature and nurture here that make this one kind of interesting. So a couple of 5-to-1 shots for me. The number 4, Red Knot. I wasn't sure which way to go with this horse. The career debut, the buyer figure was certainly good enough to contend with this bunch. It was a poor finishing position, but it was in Made Special Weight Company. Last time out, an absolute dud. Get some additional class relief, adds blinkers today. As I said, I wasn't quite sure what to do, but I'll throw it in the mix. Also going to have Cuckoo House, a first-time starter by Limehouse, in the mix. And I mentioned that one because I'm going to jump in lightly, a very light 4-horse exacta box in here, just because the odds are kind of interesting. 5-to-1, 5-to-1, 8-to-1, and 20-to-1. And I think it's the kind of race where you can take maybe a little bit of a shot. I'm leaving out Cool It, who I think is going to be a little bit dangerous, the 8-horse in here. If the odds warrant, I may toss that one in. For a buck, you can box up 5 horses for 20, and if these odds do hold up, it may be worth it. But I'll call a 4-horse box in here. 6, 3, 4, and 2.
On to the 7th, 3-year-olds and up, open company, optional claimers 20, starter allowance in for 20, also racing 6 furlongs.
And I'm going to separate up my one entry in here, just so you know if there's a scratch, I don't have them combined together because I have one of them on top. The other one I have just a little bit down, but I think there's another horse that fits in between. Plain 1, the 2B, the 1A, 7 and 5. The plain 1 on top, that is Moment's Notice. Hard to knock off the New York debut. This horse had been out at Indiana Downs, then moved into the barn of David Jacobson, owned by David Jacobson, and a big win with a 103 buyer figure. So again, it's hard to go beyond this horse. A repeat of that effort makes this horse very, very dangerous. Dolly, the 2B in the second spot, just seems to be in some pretty good form right now. Has run very nicely over the inner track in the past 7 starts on the inner surface, 5 of those exacta finishes. I'll go to the other half of the A entry, and again, keep this in mind if there are scratches, if one of the other scratches, but there are 2 different jockeys named, so they both might run. The 1A is Ground Force. It is another Jacobson horse, goes out this time for drawing away, so, coupled with my top pick, another horse that's in some pretty good form, if both of them run, they become a potent team in here. And if one or the other of those goes out, Escrow Kid gets in the 3rd spot for me. Had a big win in the lone try on the inner track. So in the 7th today at Aqueduct, the plain 1, 2B, 1A, 7 and 5.
And if you think I'm teasing, just like a 1.8 miles on the turf at the Big A, which I think they've run 1 in the last 4 years, let's watch how many 9-furlong races they run on the inner. Opening day, the feature, New York State Breds, the 4th New York State Bred, 3-year-olds and up. Optional claimers in for 14, non-winners of 1, other than racing 1 1/8 miles.
Again, I'm going to split up the entry in here. 1A, 6, the plain 1, and 8. I have the 1A on top, and the 1A is, and this time there are the same jockey's name, so one of these will probably come out. I prefer the 1A, Pure Attitude. This horse just, I think, has a numbers edge on this bunch. Goes out for Rudy Rodriguez, claimed for 14, 2 starts back in for 14 today. Off the claim, moved up a little bit, and was still competitive, but I think probably back in the comfort zone. And with the buyer numbers, Pure Attitude on top for me. 2nd spot, the number 6, Saturday Appeal. Might be interesting if this horse flashes speed again. Showed some speed, nice speed last time for Rick Schosberg. Irad Ortiz on board that day. He's back on again today. So let's hope they put the pedal to the metal again, because again, I think over the inner track, that could be a very potent angle. And then the plain 1 gets in the next spot for me. Finds a little class relief for Rudy Rodriguez. Also has a little bit of early foot, so this horse could be dangerous. And again, I think I prefer the 1A. But if this one scratches, a lot of times you just have to trust the trainer, and Rudy Rodriguez may go in the right direction. I think Tycoon Cat is going to be very, very dangerous. So I wouldn't argue with somebody putting the complete entry on top. I just went in a little bit of a different direction, thinking Saturday Appeal might be interesting off of that last start. In the 8th today, the 1A, 6, the plain 1, and 8.
In the finale, we have 3-year-olds and up claimers in for 16,000, non-winners of 2 races in a lifetime, racing 6 furlongs.
And this one, we have a couple of Jacobson horses that aren't coupled, and I've got a Jacobson exacta lined up here, 8, 1, 12, and 4. The number 8 is Denzel, goes out, excuse me, for goes out for David Jacobson and drawing away, and it gets some serious class relief. This horse has been racing most recently for 35 tags. Goes out today for 16, was competitive for 35. I think with the class drop, could be very, very dangerous for potent claiming connections. David Jacobson owns and trains the number 1 horse under review, also getting some class relief. And this is class relief off the claim. Jacobson good off the claim. You throw some class relief in there. Now, the class relief is enough that maybe you scratch your head a little bit, but we'll go with under review being in some good shape. And if so, we'll contend. And then in the 3rd spot, the number 12, Apex. Yet another horse taking some class relief in here. So there are a few in here that are getting a little bit of class relief. Just have to decide to go one way or the other. And again, it's class relief enough that you could scratch your head, but the races they're coming out of are good enough that I think they're going to be in okay form. We'll find out today, but I wound up going 8, 1, 12, and 4.
And an improved website photo for David Jacobson. The late autumn one, much more attractive than the late spring summer one at Belmont Park for the leading trainer at Naira. This afternoon, on Capital Off Track Betting, as we hold our breath that the no jurisdictions are canceled. The Big A at 12:20, followed by Tampa Bay, Laurel, Hawthorne, Turf Paradise, Portland Meadows, Penn National. Aren't you? You're a Portland Meadows guy, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Penn National, Northfield, Saratoga, Pompano, and Balmoral taking us at 8:10 into the evening. Also, if you missed any of our selections on the Handicappers Report, we invite you to go to capitalotb.com. Click on the Handicappers Report, the Today version. You'll get all of Seth's selections for the Big A and my look at Tampa Bay Downs. Also, Capital Off-Track Betting, about 6 weeks ago, commenced a new wagering platform, a state-of-the-art, brand new, capitalotbbet.com. And since we haven't received any thoughts via viewer mail at capitalotb.com, all of our viewers, which are certainly sharper than the average bear in the woods, have figured it out. So
Yeah, and it's not too hard. I say
No.
I have a first day.
but if you do have any questions at all, you may call us at 1-800-292-BETS, 1-800-292-2387, or as I mentioned, please just drop us an email, viewermail at capitalotb.com, and we will be happy to figure it out best that we can for you. Also, on this coming Sunday, Steve Bick will have a $500 bankroll to bet as he wishes, I believe, at the Big A races for 25 lucky patrons. And Seth, you tell me they need to be here, right?
I believe
Fill out
so,
a little
yeah.
piece of paper into the tumbler, and
yeah.
first 25 are winners, and they
25.
they don't get to bet it because I think I'm signed up for one, and I think it's a case where, just like the Belmont Stakes and the Preakness, I get to do as my want. So the 25 people don't
And
even
so
have
you're
to
either
offer.
the hero or the goat. It's all on you.
I think we're pretty good.
It's all on you.
I think my ROI so far is pretty good with Oxbow and Palace Malice down the road. I don't think we have to worry too much. Tell the good folks who you have on Racing Across America coming up next.
Coming up today, Jeremy Planck from horseplayernow.com. We'll review some of the weekend stakes action from the past. Also have a little discussion on the 2-year-old Hollywood Futurity coming up. So we'll take a little look at Shared Belief and see what Jeremy thinks, if maybe he can throw his hat in the ring for an Eclipse with a win this weekend. Also, James Hasty from the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. They announced last week the 20 sites, the 20 farms that have been accredited by their organization. They have an announcement today out at the symposium in Arizona about grant money that will go to some of these organizations. So we'll just get a little background on the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance from him.
Quick question. Can you get Pat Cummings on in the near future? I only mention it because Pat, they're talking about new stats in the horse racing game, sort of like the sabermetric geeks, and I say that belovingly because I am one of them in baseball. And my thought is I'd like to jump in with you. I'm only kidding. I don't really want to, because it's one of those things. I know it's better, but it's like, don't start trampling on my stats that you like to keep, that can give you a little bit of an edge. But there's a thought on some new statistical outlay there, and of course Pat Cummings would be our go-to guy.
Yeah, my game plan actually either have Pat on at the end of the week or beginning of next week. Not only, and he was on a panel at the Arizona Symposium, so I'd not only have him on just to talk a little bit about that, but maybe to cover. I'm sure he went to the other panels as well.
That wraps up the Handicappers Report. Enjoy your racing this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.